Is Heartless Hunter overhyped, or does it actually deserve all the praise that it's been getting? I do not know, but I'm very curious to find out. So let's read this book together. They're attracted to each other, but they also don't like each other at all, and they are really enemies, and they're just really just trying to convince each other that they're doing this for the fake Corden. It was so good and it was so real. I've caught her now. And then, wait, what? He's definitely giving pick-me vibes to me. I'm so excited to read this book. I have seen pictures of it everywhere. I've seen people talk about it, and I just have like a gut feeling that I'm really going to like it. I find that a lot of the YA books that are really popular, like Divine Rivals, absolutely like blow my expectations out of the water. And so I do have high expectations for this book. I've been wanting to read it for a very long time. I know that the second book comes out in February of this year, so if I really like this, I don't have to suffer the wait as long as if I started it in 2024. So yeah, I'm excited. So from my understanding, Heartless Hunter follows our two main characters. We have a witch and we have a witch hunter, which instant enemies to lovers vibes. Very excited for that. But what's interesting is that our witch character is pretending to be a witch hunter, so she can basically save her people and get them elsewhere so they're not going to be killed. And then there's the witch hunter too, and he realizes that these witches have been smuggled and are escaping on who he thinks is the Crimson Moth witch hunter, which is actually the witch. And so he ends up kind of like trying to like spy on her and figure out like, is she aware that this is happening? Like, what's going on kind of thing. And so it's kind of like fake dating, because he starts to court her and like to get closer without even knowing that she's a witch and he's a witch hunter. So that vibe is just so juicy, so good. Like, the tension. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. The only downside is because this is YA, we will not get the spice that I want, but I think that we'll still get the yearning and the emotion just that YA tends to do really well, because they can't do the kind of spicy stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited for this book. So without further ado, let's read Heartless Hunter. Oh, but wait, we know the drill. This has a dust cover and that has to come off before I read a book. And I'm really hoping that there's a pretty design underneath. Please be a pretty design underneath. There's no point in having a hardcover if you do not have a design underneath. So if I've willed it, let's find out. Oh, I'm also gonna guess that it's gonna be like a dark navy blue underneath as the color. And like maybe black. Oh no, is there nothing, or is it like a small hidden one? No, what a disappointment. I already put my bookmark in there. No! I hate when there's no design, but I got the color right. All right, let's read this book for real. So I'm a little bit more than 100 pages into Heartless Hunter, and here are my thoughts so far. So far, I'm really enjoying this book. It takes place back in the time period where people would be courting one another and you would attend all these fancy balls and all of that good stuff. And so our main character is a socialite, and she's also a witch, but she's a secret witch. Nobody knows that she's a witch except for two of her close friends. And our other kind of main character is this man named Gideon Sharpe, which for whatever reason, his last name is spelled differently, like multiple times, either with the E or without the E, and it's honestly kind of distracting, but I digress. But he is like the captain of these like blood guards, which are basically just witch hunters. So Rune being a secret witch, she's also known as the Crimson Moth. And so the Crimson Moth is not part of the blood guard. I thought initially that she was part of that, but no, she's actually just kind of like a vigilante, and so she is still saving witches, and she's always outsmarting the blood guard. And nobody would know them like Crimson Moth compared to the persona that Rune has, where she pretends she's this like kind of clueless, a little bit ditzy kind of socialite girl. And so that is like a really good way to kind of like divide, like no one's gonna suspect her because nobody thinks much of her. However, as Gideon is investigating, trying to figure out who the Crimson Moth is, his kind of like hired associate person ends up seeing the signature, because when witches do spells in this book, one, they need blood, and two, it temporarily leaves a signature. And so there was the signature of a moth found on one of Rune's ships. So they don't know if Rune is the Crimson Moth, if she's involved, if she's a sympathizer, or if she has no idea any of this is happening at all. And so Gideon is basically fake courting her to get information and try to figure out, like, is she a witch? And she is fake courting him because he's the only one who knows where this recently captured witch is being held. And this is really important to her because before her nan passed away, she had basically said, like, find this person. And so Rune finally was about to find that person, but then she was taken. And there's like a lot of really sad things that Rune had gone through already. The biggest, of course, being her tragic backstory, that she was raised by her nan, like her parents were regular human people. They drowned, I believe, and so she's been raised by her nan, and her nan is a witch. And in this world, witches were fine up until a point, and then witch hunting began. Witches were now bad. And so Rune at this point thinks that she's just a human girl. And so she's trying to figure out, like, how can she and her nan escape, but the blood guard is onto them. And so Rune doesn't want to make this choice, but her nan basically makes the choice for her because she doesn't know what to do, that Rune, in order to survive, has to give up the woman who raised her so she can live. So she basically like sentences her only living relative to death and continues on, like, she hates witches and all this stuff, but that's obviously not true. And then about a couple months later, she discovers that she is a witch, and she's like, uh-oh, that's not good. And so that's kind of like how that story, so everybody thinks she hates witches and stuff, like she's the #1 witch hater, because like who would turn in their own family, right? But there's more to that story. So I think that it's a lot more complex, and I really like that. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm really enjoying it. I like that they both, like, they're attracted to each other, but they also don't like each other at all, and they are really enemies. So this really is going to be an enemies to lovers kind of thing. I'm excited to see where the rest of the fake dating is going to go. I really hope that there's a one bed scene, because if we can get fake dating, enemies to lovers, and one bed in one book, that's all we need. That's all I need to be happy in my life. So yeah, I'm going to continue to read Heartless Hunter, and I will update you around the halfway mark. So I will see you then. So I'm now more than halfway through Heartless Hunter, and I think my favorite scene so far, like in this entire book, was definitely the skinny dipping scene. I just thought that it was such a great way to show the characters and how, like, they're definitely, like, attracted to each other, and they're just really just trying to convince each other that they're doing this for the fake courting that they're doing to try to, like, throw them off of each other's trails. But I really like that scene because Rune really gets to actually be herself, which is like that wild, reckless girl. She doesn't have to pretend in that scene, and I think that's really important. And Gideon not having to pretend either, and like the stuff that they shared with each other was just like, it was so good and it was so real, and it really just like let them see each other, like see into each other's souls of who they actually are, and not like the fake personas that they always have on. So I thought that was just, I just really liked that scene. I also really liked the mine scene with like how Gideon had set that up. I thought was really clever, and then like what Rune was able to do to kind of like Uno reverse him by the time he's like, aha, I've caught her now, and then wait, what? I guess not. Like, I thought that was really well done. I love how they're just like constantly trying to outsmart each other. I think it's just like so much fun. I always love that dynamic because it's like, what are they gonna do now? Like, they're definitely gonna get caught now, but then no, they find another way to like throw them off the trail, and I just love that so much. Another thing that I think is just like really cute, and it's like really small in the book, but I think is just really great for building up the connection between Rune and Gideon, and that's their shared love of fashion, because like Gideon and his entire family were like these really sought after tailors, and they were so sought after that the 3 witch queens had actually pretty much hired his parents and him, and his youngest brother Alex went off to go to school to study music. So Alex wasn't involved in this, but Alex is Rune's best friend, and he's secretly in love with her. So there is a love triangle, and honestly, like, Alex is kind of giving me like a bit of a pick-me vibe, to be honest, but he is sweet. Like, he's a nice guy, but I don't know, he's definitely giving pick-me vibes to me. But yeah, that's kind of like the love triangle that's going on. And so because Gideon and his family did all of this like fashion and stuff, something that Rune is really interested in is fashion, and she recognizes like which ones are in season, which ones aren't. And it's just like, when they talk about it and kind of go over like some of the designs and stuff, I just really like, ooh, and like that scene when Gideon was making her a dress, not only was it like really thoughtful and also clever for his plan, but also it's just like so sweet. Like, that's just so sweet. So yeah, lots of fun. I just really love the whole cat and mouse game that's kind of going on between them. And then there's definitely something else going on, because like while Gideon is like investigating, trying to figure out who the Crimson Moth is, he's also saying that these like murders of these guards and stuff are also the Crimson Moth, but that really doesn't seem to be like Rune's character at all. She's like all for saving people and like showing that kind of empathy and just making sure everyone has a better life. So I don't know who though, but like there's something going on there, which is very suspicious. But yeah, we will see what happens. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to read Heartless Hunter, and I will update you when I finish the book. So I'll see you then with my final thoughts. So I finished Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli, and oh my goodness, okay. I really did enjoy this book. I'm so excited to read the second one when it comes out in February. And like, there were just so many good scenes. Gideon running through literal flames to save Rune. Like, oh my goodness, like how precious is that? And then just like oh, the scenes and like the buttercups that he sewed, and just like there's so many really cute, amazing scenes with those two, and I love it. And it's so nice, and they're like trying not to fall for each other, but they're definitely falling for each other, and it's really cute, and they're enemies. And I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of feelings about these two characters. I really liked it. At first I was like, oh yeah, like they're okay, but then it's just like all these scenes, it was really that fire scene that sold it for me. And then also for a YA book, I was pleasantly surprised with the spice that we did get in here. I thought it was all going to be a fade to black, but no, it wasn't like explicit, but it was way more detailed than I've ever read in a YA book. So I don't know how she got away with this, but I'm happy about that. I was thinking fade to black, but you know, you get more. And the ending, the way this book ended, it's a crime that the second one is not out. I love when books do this to me. Like, yes, were a lot of the things like who the big bad guy was predictable? Yes. But did that bug me? Not at all. Not at all. I thought that was so cool, and being able to see the witches actually use magic and powers and how everything all kind of like ties in together. And then like you could say that this entire thing is a miscommunication trope between Rune and Gideon, but I don't know. I don't really see it that way, because they are communicating to each other. They just both had big, deep, dark secrets, which aren't even really secret, because like we know what that is. But now that, you know, the way that the book ended, I'm excited to see where the rest of it goes. I am heartbroken, of course, for Rune, but I'm so curious about like where everything else is gonna go. I had a really good time. This was good. So today we are gonna be awarding Heartless Hunter a total of 4.5 stars. Like I mentioned, great time with this book. I thought that it was really well written. I really loved the different types of magic and the way that it's kind of explained in some of the chapters as well. Like it has like a little excerpt from like a magic book in this world and the way that the magic works. And I really liked all of the characters and the setting, and like the side characters too. Like Bartholomew was just like, he was so full of himself, but it was so entertaining to watch. And he seemed like a real character too. Like he was just in the background, but he was so real. And then like Nicholas Creed and his two children, like I thought that whole thing was really good as well. Like all the side characters, like the whole entire world was very well done. And I really liked it. The only thing I think I was a little bit confused about was I was thinking that it was kind of more like the really strict courting rules where like if somebody catches you kissing somebody, like you're automatically like, oh no, you're a horrible person, like they have to get married immediately, kind of like what I've seen in Bridgerton. But that's not the case. It's like Rune's character was very well known for being flirty and stuff, and no one seemed to care who was with who, and so yeah, that didn't seem to be as big of an issue. But yeah, I thought that the book was really well done. I love the magic and the illusions, and like the whole magic system too, I thought was really interesting because it was all just like blood magic, but the main character obviously not wanting to like reveal herself, she has to use her monthly cycle, because if she gets blood any other way, like there's certain ways that if you take blood from somebody who doesn't allow you to, you can corrupt yourself as a witch. And so there's just like a lot of really interesting kind of magical rules that I love that were incorporated. I will say that the only part that maybe kind of keep in mind is because it is blood magic, the way that the characters get the blood is like, could be a bit triggering to people, to be honest. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, overall, very good, very magical. I will definitely be reading the second book. So the next book that I'm going to be reading is North is the Night by Emily Rath. And look at this book. She is beautiful. She's definitely has a design hiding underneath, but I won't know until I read the book and review it. If you're interested in watching me read this book, you'll see what design is underneath the cover as well, which would be very cool. Or you are interested in watching me read any other book that happens to be on my never-ending TBR, definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. If you're a big fan of enemies to lovers like I am, definitely comment some enemies to lovers books in the comments and hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!